Yo, what's up, guys? So I'm gonna continue with my free agency talk. This will be the final free agency video that I'm gonna drop this week regarding Washington. I'm working on the defensive side of the football, so don't worry. I'm not done with free agency talk. Um, just that I gotta gather some information on the defensive side of the football, like what linebackers I would personally like to see in a Washington uniform next year, because linebacker is another spot that Washington needs to fill up in free agency, along with maybe getting another corner if they don't re-sign Ronald Darby, and the safety position because Washington needs to find new some free safeties, so on and so forth for the 2021 season. Um, but this is actually going to be tight ends. You're going to say, what about the offensive line? Well, here's the thing. The offensive line, I'm not going to do a video on that just because the offensive linemen, that the free agents, I think Washington could address that um, in the draft, because the offensive linemen that are available in free agency this year really aren't that appealing, aside from Trent Williams wanting to come back to DC because apparently the 49ers were losers last year, and he wanted to come back to Washington because Washington was finally winning. But you should have thought about that earlier, dude. No offense. But I'm not here to talk about the offensive line. I'm here to talk about the tight ends. And not many options to talk about really for the tight ends group for Washington in free agency. So tight ends, Logan Thomas is your solidified number one. But aside from that, you really don't have appealing options at the tight end position. You have Thaddeus Moss, who was injured last year. You had Jeremy Sprinkle, who has butter hands. And after that, it was practice squad guys who really didn't make an impact. So here are free agents that Washington needs to consider bringing in for tight ends to be that number two tight end if Logan Thomas is out. First guy is Robert Tonyan. He played for the Packers this past year. Now, the thing is that the Packers have not had a good tight end since Gerald Cook. That one year that they had Gerald Cook. So my thing is, why would you let Robert Tonyan go? But if they do let him go, I would go after Robert Tonyan because he showed what he was made of. I think it was the Falcons game this past year. We had a monster game, had a 3-touchdown performance, and had a few big performances this past year. I personally like him. I think he would be a good number two option paired with Logan Thomas. Let me know what you guys think about him. I think he would be a good fit here in Washington if Green Bay doesn't re-sign him. Next guy, Hunter Henry. Also, by the way, I think Robert Tonyan would be on the cheaper side of things. Let me know if you guys think that he would be an expensive guy, but I think he would be a cheaper guy because he really didn't do anything with the Packers before this past year. So I think he would be on the cheaper side. Next guy, it's going to be very pricey to try to get him here to DC. Hunter Henry, the Chargers player that was franchise tagged this year. That's one thing that he is probably going to ask for a bag. And if you guys didn't watch my free agency videos talking about the wide receiving core, Washington is going to have to throw a bag with the wide receivers. And I don't know if they're going to want to throw a bag for tight end. So Hunter Henry got the franchise tag with the Chargers. The Chargers are going to try to re-sign him. But I think also the injury history is what concerned me. He was out of the league for 2 years or a year and a half with a torn ACL. So, and he really didn't. He showed flashes. He has shown flashes of being a top tight end guy this past year and the year that before he got hurt. But durability is a concern in Washington. Like I said, we cannot have injuries this next year because, like I said, we're trying to build off of what happened this past year. So I think Hunter Henry is someone to look at, but if he's asking for a lot and he doesn't deserve a lot, in my opinion, just hang up the phone. Don't give him 20 mil, 15 mil, even though he's probably going to be asking for that. But I wouldn't pay too much to get him. I would say maybe not even 10 mil. Don't pay him 10 mil. I'll say under that. Next guy, another guy who, in my opinion, is going to ask for the bag, in my opinion, but won't deserve it, but would be a good fit here in Washington, Jonnu Smith. The Titans, Tennessee Titans tight end, had somewhat of a breakout year this past couple of years, but like I said, durability is an issue with him as well. Took him a long time to finally get on the field, but he, again, is a guy that can show flashes. But he, like I said, because of his breakout games, I think he's going to be asking for a lot, which, like I said, I don't think he deserves either. But I think, it would be fair to give him a look to see how much he would be asking for. He's probably going to be asking another 10 mil, but I would go under that. If he asks more than that, hang up the phone. So I'm going to go about a few cheap options here. Gerald Everett, the Rams guy, had a few chances, shows flashes, probably because of that star-studded wide receiving group, and because Tyler Higbee is there, really isn't given a fair chance. And when Tyler Higbee was injured, Gerald Everett has shown to step up. In fact, he actually had a trick play against Washington where he scored a huge touchdown on Washington this past year. So I would like to see him here in Washington, and he would come cheap. He would be a cheaper guy to get. I would not be mad at Gerald Everett coming here to DC because he would be cheap, and he would be a good number 2 tight end. Next guy, hate me for saying this, Dan Arnold. Not much on him. Really had a few big games down the stretch for the Arizona Cardinals the last 3 or 4 games. And he would also be a cheap guy to get because he hasn't, been in a prominent role. So I wouldn't be mad if Washington tried to get him. He's not injury prone, but he's shown flashes, and he would be cheap. So I wouldn't be mad at getting him either. And then the final options, Jared Cook. He's just older. He's old, reliable, 34 years old. For some reason, when people, when Washington, gets these older guys, they somehow show to be durable for like the first few games. Like Vernon Davis, he would be your Vernon Davis situation. Where Vernon Davis, signed like a 1-year or 2-year deal and then just retired. I think Jared Cook would be cheap, but I wouldn't try to get him just because he's on the older side of things. Just stay away. Washington's trying to rebuild, and Washington already has that veteran leadership with Logan Thomas, in my opinion. And then, of course, Trey Burton, another guy that would be cheap. I would sign him to maybe a 1-year deal, see what he offers, because he's shown to be washed up. Everyone remembers him for the Philly special in the Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles, but really didn't show much when he signed with the Bears. His career went downhill with the Bears, really didn't do anything of note, and then kind of almost revitalized his career with the Colts. Had a few big games, but really was just a guy where they called upon him and he was there. So I think, just an honorable mention type guys would be Gerald Cook and Trey Burton. I wouldn't be mad. Just sign them to cheap deals. Don't throw the bag at them. Wouldn't be surprised if they would just be training camp guys just to establish some veteran in the locker room. But like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if they get cut either in the midway through. Don't be surprised if they sign these guys if they have any interest, if Washington have any interest, and just cut them after a few games. So that is it for tight ends, guys. Let me know what you guys thoughts. Let me know who you guys would like to see come to Washington as a tight end number 2. Logan Thomas has shown to be the tight end number one. He proved it in a big way. Almost had 100 receptions this year. Had a few big touchdowns in the year. This year broke out as a tight end, because I remember when Washington signed him, and I was like, oh my God, they're signing a guy that really hasn't shown flashes, because I remember he was with the Lions and he struggled with the Lions, but no, he showed flashes in this past year with Washington. So he's tight end number one. We just need to get a tight end number two, because like I said, after Logan Thomas, really not many appealing options after that. So let me know who you'd like to see come to DC. Hot rhyme there. Anyways, if you're new to my channel and you like what you hear, hit that red button, subscribe to my channel, comment, like my videos, share it. Until then, guys, keep it real. I will see you guys next time. Peace.